Kenneth Ofori-Atta remains detained in the U.S. That what we do know right now, but that is really mean that his move to Ghana in terms of the extradition efforts doesn't make it any easier with his detention by ICE. Stay with us. We've got a conversation on this, but the latest from his lawyers. That's the lawyers, one of the lawyers for Kenneth Ofori-Atta, that is lawyer Frank Davis, has been speaking, is explaining the circumstances that led to his detention in the United States and how they hope to secure his release. We'll hear from him shortly. Earlier when he spoke to Joy News, we'll recall that in a bit. But then again, let's show you pictures of what we do know about this detention center. This is the Caroline Detention Center in Virginia in the United States. And this is how the detention center looks like in terms of the sitting area, and then also where the detainees are kept. We'll give you an idea of how the rooms also look like. This is it. This is the Caroline Detention Center. Shortly, we'll show you a Google Earth image of the location of this particular detention center that we're talking about. And I tell you what, that has also generated conversation about what this detention center really is and the history behind that. Here's what we do know. This is it. This is where this detention center is located, the Caroline Detention Center in Virginia in the United States, right? We'll put that on the screen right now. And this is it. This is where Kenneth Ofori-Atta is being kept right now. Okay, when we zoom in closer, this is the facility that we're talking about here. Okay. This is it, this area. This is the location as we have it. And it is this particular facility which ICE is using as a detention center for persons who are either going through a process of seeking asylum in the United States of America, and also, as we did see in the letter by Kenneth Ofori-Atta's lawyers, persons who have overstayed their welcome, essentially in the United States. It's a commitment by the United States government to ensure, at least after Donald Trump took over a couple of years ago, to ensure that, look, the persons who are staying in the United States illegally are made to face the full rigors of the law. So this is the facility in question right now. This is where the interest of all Ghanaians who have been asking questions about the whereabouts of Kenneth Ofori-Atta and whether or not he's going to come to Ghana after this detention. Well, this is it. You should pay attention to this particular area. We'll tell you a bit more about this location as we go on here on Ghana Tonight. But Frank Davis is one of the lawyers for Kenneth Ofori-Atta. That's a former finance minister. He's been speaking to Joy News, giving some details about exactly how all of this played out when he was picked up and how he's doing as we speak. Take a look.
There is nothing to be of any significant concern to the legal team, because what has occasioned is detention, so to speak, is a purely immigration matter, which is common and routine. Indeed, for whatever reason, if your visa stay or period is about to lapse and you have reasonable belief that you have to remain in the jurisdiction of the country for an extended period, you are allowed, as it were, put in a petition for your immigration status to be evaluated and determined. So it is customary with the U.S. immigration procedures and practices and processes. So it is nothing new. It is nothing new. So yes, the petition has been lodged with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is popularly known as the ICE, and they are reviewing the petition. In fact, the counterpart legal team, our counterpart legal team in the United States.
Right.
The team that our Attorney General, the leader of the bar, has described as a very experienced and cracked legal team, is working on the petition. And in the fullness of time, a determination will be made one way or the other, based solely on the merits of the petition. So there is nothing to be worried. I will not speculate and speak on that. That is not the reason why you called me. So let us focus on why you called. I'm not able to speak to that proposition that we have filed for an extended or permanent residency in the United States. Whichever environment you find yourself, you learn to adapt. Like I always say, the good Lord God is keeping Ofori-Atta as he's keeping all of us. He will make do with the limitation of the circumstances now. And when the matter is determined, he will have his freedom and liberty today. So yes, it is not the best of facilities if you know that Caroline detention facility. But whatever it is, be that as it may, that is where the circumstances of his stay have found it. So he will learn to abide. That should tell you the sincerity of the man we are talking about. You have just said something which is quite poignant and significant. He could have opted for that option. But because he didn't have any intention to run away from this jurisdiction, he went purposely for a medical procedure. So that was why his visa, strictly speaking, his visa is supposed to lapse or determine on the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day. But because he is still attending on to his medical procedure on the recuperative stage, he thought it wise to extend his stay so that he can still receive the best of medical treatment where he is. So yes, he could have opted for that option, but he didn't think it was necessary at the time, and it is not necessary now. Petition will be determined, and we will all know the outcome. The mere fact that he is in a detention facility will not absolve him of whatever medical treatment he's supposed to give. I mean, we all know the Americans and the developed democracies of this world. We see it in the films of all. They are given the very best of treatment. The movies are there for us. They are given the very best of treatment. So it has nothing to do with whether he will run a shortage of medical treatment or medical attention. Whatever is supposed to be done for him to stay strong and healthy will be done. I believe in that. Whatever the government has to do in the enabling circumstances, I believe that as this matter is unfolding, I mean, they'll come out with their own state. But for now, whatever we say is limited to. But the circumstances for one to be put in a detention center are separate, distinct, and essentially different from whatever faces a particular individual.
Well, so that's Frank Davis. He is one of the lawyers for the former Finance Minister, Kenneth Ofori-Atta, and they did indicate a number of things, touching on the petition that Ofori-Atta has actually put in place, specifically about his status in the United States, which is the reason why he's actually being held in this detention center in the first place. You hear Frank Davis describe this detention center as not the very best of places with the very best of conditions. Okay, this is what we know of the outside or the outskirts of this particular detention center. We showed you pictures of how it looks like inside, okay? But then again, it doesn't take away the fact that obviously this would not be a pleasant place to be as compared to here being at home, okay? But this is it. This is how, at least we do know from the eyes and the lenses of Google Earth, this Caroline detention facility, this is where it is in Virginia. This is how it looks like. And also a specific issue about where it is located, a very, very secure facility, as a matter of fact. And here's what we do know about this facility in terms of its history. I'm going to tell you about it. This is it. This Caroline detention facility is a 336-bed correctional facility located near Bowling Green, that's in Virginia, adjacent to Route 301. The facility is 6 miles north of the main entrance to Fort A.P. Hill. Surrounded by Army base. That's what you see, and that's what I was talking about, that this is in a secured facility. and it's in a very secured area. So where the former finance minister has been detained now, from what we do know about this particular facility, that is the Caroline Detention Facility, is surrounded by the Army base. It's not part of the installation of the Army, but actually surrounded by the Army base, and opened in September 1999, and also features a campus-style layout, and that's what we're going to put the pictures on the screen right now. I'll tell you why this has been described as a campus layout sort of detention facility designed to operate as a fourth-generation direct supervision facility, and then also low custody inmates from 6 jurisdictions and the Virginia Department of Corrections were housed at the facility until March 2017. Currently, through a contract with the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's ICE, this Caroline Detention Facility houses federal detainees who are undergoing the administrative process of either asylum in the United States or removal from the country. So take note of this. The detainees who are in this facility are undergoing the administrative process of either asylum in the United States or removal from the country. This is what this facility, Caroline Detention Facility, is indeed meant for and is doing essentially. Now, let's go on to Zoom right now and find out a number of things as to how this development impacts on the extradition request of Ghana, and then what more we do know about the other expiration date of other visas that Ofori-Atta has. And joining us right now on Zoom is Manasseh Azure. He's an investigative journalist. He's been following through a story that he did, which is one of the reasons why Ofori-Atta is being prosecuted right now by the Office of Special Prosecutor. He's joining us on Zoom right now. Manasseh, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
First off, let's confirm this. Frank Davis talks about his U.S. visa. I'm talking about Ofori-Atta's U.S. visa expiring on the 14th of February. That's next month, Valentine's Day. Is this consistent with the information that you have?
Yes, I think I first gave this information on your show last year, and it is consistent that next month the U.S. visa will expire.
Now, what more do we know about the other visas that Ofori-Atta has, and the options and which countries he still has valid visas to travel to?
Yes, he has valid visas to the United Kingdom and also to Canada. And then the UK visa will expire in 2032. The exact date is April 21st, 2032. That is when Ofori-Atta's visa to the United Kingdom will expire. And then his Canadian visa will also expire in 2031, May. That's May 31st, 2031. His Canadian visa will expire. So these are the two foreign visas that are active on his passport now.
I see. Manasseh, stay with me. And Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner, and he's also joining us on Zoom. Counsel, you've been on the heels of the Office of Special Prosecutor for allowing, quote-unquote, Ofori-Atta to leave the jurisdiction, and that's one of the reasons why you are asking that the Special Prosecutor be sacked. Well, this is the development, okay? The Ofori-Atta has been detained, and you've heard his lawyers. We have applied for his extradition to Ghana. That's the Attorney General through the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Does this detention in any way make that process of extradition easier? And as we're seeing it right now, how does that also impact on the extradition process? Does it have any correlation, any nexus with what is happening now? Did the U.S. authorities take interest in the extradition and to look a bit further into Ofori-Atta's status, reason why he is here right now?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So on the matter of how easy would this arrest make the extradition, the, what I can say straight up, I mean, cut to the chase, we cannot readily say that this arrest by itself makes the extradition process easy. No, remember the two are separate. Currently, he's been arrested by ICE because of a visa violation. Okay, that's his stay in America, right? And the extradition request is a separate request from the government of Ghana that he should come down to. He should be brought back to Ghana to face criminal charges, right, in the SML matter. So now that ICE is dealing with him, I made a point that where it could be a bit easy is the point of arrest. So now this is the point. Now that he's in the custody of ICE, he's fighting, including possibly going to court. So if ICE doesn't release him early and he has to go to court fighting ICE for his release, it is possible that the extradition request would travel to the point where he needs to be arrested. And if at the point that he needs to be arrested, he's in the custody of ICE, then it makes it easy. Because it's in the custody of ICE, I'm sure in American law, they would have processes in place to show that even where he's done with ICE, he cannot be released, but then he has to be transferred to the FBI, etc., for them to continue with the extradition proceedings. One of the key preliminary steps will be to arrest Ofori-Atta. So whilst he's battling ICE in court, if the extradition people finish early, that's get to the stage where they need to arrest him, and he's done with ICE and they're about to release, then the FBI and the justice can take him. You say, so it's not bad. It's not bad, at least for now. It's not bad. Let's just hope that our extradition request makes significant progress quickly. And the watchword here is quickly enough. So meaning also that if for the extradition proceedings, right? The first, before the actual court case starts, they will need to arrest him. So that's when I'm saying that if at the time they need to arrest him, he's still in the ICE custody, then it's easier. They will go do the arrest there. But as to whether they will transfer him to FBI, etc., I don't know. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. But the main thing is that once he's in custody, it's a bit easier because they'll go and do the arrest procedures in custody. Okay, and also they don't have to spend time looking for him. Then the extradition proceedings will go to court. So it means that he can even be attending both courts, doing the ICE case and at the same time also attending the court for the extradition proceedings. Yeah, so it can be a bit easy only on the part of the arrest. At the time he needs to be arrested for the extradition proceedings, if he's still in custody in the ICE case, it's easier to arrest him.
I see. And Manasseh, I come back to you on and also this particular development with Ofori-Atta being detained in this facility by ICE. And from your own following of this particular issue, taking into consideration how this has evolved over time till this moment that ICE is holding him regarding his current status in the United States, how does this strike you? Hello, Manasseh, can you hear us?
Hello, please, can you repeat the question,
I was saying that with this, how this matter has evolved over time, right from when he left the jurisdiction until now that ICE is holding him in this facility. I'm talking about the former finance minister. You've been neck deep into how this particular case regarding Ofori-Atta has evolved over time. How does this development strike you with him being held in this detention because of his status in the United States?
Well, sometimes we look at the legal aspect of it. We also look at the practical aspect. I said on Daybreak some weeks ago that from my experience, this case could go beyond what the timelines people were expecting, that it would take. If they thought maybe it could take 5 years, it could take more than that. It could also take less, because beyond the legal aspect, there are also diplomatic and other channels. If the US today doesn't want any citizen in their country, someone like Ofori-Atta, if they want Ofori-Atta to be in Ghana by tomorrow, they can put him on the next available plane. And I said that I have read stories about people who have had their visas revoked. They did not overstay, but for one or two reasons. And then the explanation given by the authorities is that, look, we have given you the privilege to be in our country. It is not your right, so we can choose to do what we want. So what is happening? Two things. I think it makes it easier, and I may even suspect that a petition and the noise may have put the eyes of the authorities, drawn the eyes of the authorities to Ofori-Atta. That is possible, even though it may not be related. It is possible that his detention now could, in a remote way, be influenced by the petition. That may not be the reason, but it would have taken eyes to him, and they would go through, oh, well, he even overstayed, so there is this other charge. So maybe someone can be, let's say, arrested for robbery, and in the process of the robbery, they may find out that he also raped someone. So all of these are possibilities. I'm not saying that's what it is. Two, it also in a way, should teach those who hold public office a lesson that, look, when you have the opportunity to serve your country, then do well to serve your country and serve it well. I don't think any minister of state, any MP, anybody in this country would want to be kept at this center, especially when you say you are there and the reason you are there is that you are not well. Even if he was a very fit and strong Ofori-Atta, he wouldn't want to spend a night at this facility. That alone is humiliation. He went there for health care. Fair. But if we were to put our hospitals in order, and then we have very great medical doctors and health professionals who are leaving the country and working here in the US. So it is even possible that a hospital that Ofori-Atta is being attended to or treated, there are Ghanaian doctors and medical personnel who are treating him there. If you read Obama's book, A Promised Land, he mentions the Walter Reed Medical Institute Center, where US presidents go to have health care.
Right.
He was praising how immigrants had come and they were working hard at this facility. Mm-hmm. And when I read that book, one thing that stood out for me was that when he was mentioning the nations where these workers came from, he mentioned Nigeria. So what is the point? We have dedicated, hardworking medical personnel who are in countries like the US, Africa, taking care of presidents and ministers and important people here. Yet our own people, when they fall sick, have to travel and come here. And the main reason, in my view, is not that we don't have qualified and dedicated health practitioners.
Right.
We have them, but people like Ofori-Atta, who have the opportunity to govern the country and resource our hospitals, would rather invest in schemes such as SML. And so what is happening, I just want us to look at it even beyond Ofori-Atta and look at leadership in general and what that says about us.
I see, and I do thank you for this. And also, Lawyer Matipebe is still with us. Lawyer, I'm going to come to you in a bit. But if you go on the Immigration and Custom Enforcement, that's the ICE website, that's the Homeland Security in the United States, this is what they have there. If you do the search on Kenneth Ofori-Atta, you will have this information. We're going to put it on the screen right now. His full name there, country of birth, Ghana, status in ICE custody. That's Ofori-Atta's status right now as captured on the official website of the Department of Homeland Security. And then that's the state of Virginia. And the current detention facility, as we have showed you, is Caroline Detention Facility. That is this particular location, as we've been showing you all the while. So that is the information that you would find on the Department of Homeland Security's website and giving more details about this particular location right now. And Lawyer Martin Kpebu, you a few weeks ago had put out some information that you had picked up that Ofori-Atta was working on getting a permanent stay in the United States of America. And this particular development, as captured in his lawyer's statement they put out yesterday, that Ofori-Atta has a pending petition for adjustment of status. What the expression they use there is that he has a pending petition for adjustment of status, which authorizes a person to stay in the United States legally past the period of validity of their visa. Does this give any vindication to that statement earlier?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll start with the lawyer's letter. So the lawyer, that's Menka Premuenko, they admit that Ofori-Atta has a pending petition before the immigration authorities of the U.S. to adjust his status in the U.S. That phrase, to adjust his status in the U.S., that's the part of it that says that he's applied to change. So he wants to become a permanent resident. That's why he has a pending petition to adjust his status. So pending petition for permanent residence. You know, I had mentioned earlier that the information I got about two months ago was that his son had applied for him to become a permanent resident. So the son is a citizen, right, of the U.S., and he has applied for Ofori-Atta to become a permanent resident. I know it takes some time. And so that's the process that he's going through. Yes, if you're a citizen of the U.S., you can file for your father, you can file for your mother, but it takes some time. And that's what he's going through, right? So I'm happy that, you see, the lawyers have corroborated it. Some, as I said a few months ago, about 2 months ago, when I first mentioned it, people were asking for my source, and even some others doubted it. But now there you have it in the lawyer's letter saying that he has a pending petition to adjust his status in the U.S. That's to change from visitor's visa to become, or a visitor, okay, or a person on business trip, to becoming a permanent resident. So from the name permanent resident, it means that he'll be permanently resident in the U.S. Of course, he can travel all along. I mean, he can travel anywhere he wants to go and come back freely, better than those who use the B1, B2 visas. When we say B1, B2, that's the normal visitor's visa or business trip visa. When you're a permanent resident, it gives you more rights in the American society, etc., rather than going on a visitor's or business trip visa. Yeah, so that is what it is. And you remember, at that time, we complained vehemently that, was it that the OSU was delaying the trial in absentia to give Ofori-Atta more time in his application to become a permanent resident? Because it didn't make sense. Why all this while the special prosecutor was fighting that, no, they will not do trial in absentia. They will not do trial in absentia from January. Then eventually in November, they now say, yes, they will do it. After giving Ofori-Atta about 1 year, you see, to consider his options,